So let's start by making the filling, and we're going full French on this one. Into our Dutch oven, we're going to throw a knob of butter and some olive oil. Once the butter's melted, we're going to throw in a sliced up onion and a few cloves of minced up garlic. Give it a good stir. Once those have turned translucent, we'll throw in about a cup of diced up button mushrooms. Then once those have started releasing their juices and then further dried up a little bit more, we're going to throw in half a cup of dry white wine. We're going to let that reduce while deglazing a little bit. And then we're going to go in with our meat. In this case, I have a half a kilo each of ground veal and ground pork. You can really use whatever meat you want with this. I think lamb would do nicely here. Go ahead and break that up with your spatula. You want it to turn into little granules and start to brown that on all sides. And then into that mix, we're going to add in a grated russet potato. This will add a little body to the filling. Now let's season this. It's a northern hearty pie. So I threw in a 1/4 teaspoon of clove and a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, as well as a couple pinches of salt. In this case, I'm using Icelandic licorice salt, just for a little bit of extra flavor, as well as some ground black pepper and a little bit of thyme. We'll just throw those in whole. Now let's throw in a 1.5 cups of chicken broth. Give it a good stir to incorporate, and then we're gonna bring it to a simmer and cover it up for about an hour, making sure to stir constantly because otherwise it'll get all stuck to the bottom. Now for the dough, this is a basic pie dough. We're gonna use 3 cups of flour. I'm just using, I believe it's all-purpose. And then we're gonna throw in 4 cubed up sticks of butter, as well as a teaspoon of salt. Throw it in your mixer, give it a good pulse until it all starts to come together. Then after you've coated yourself and your surroundings in a nice layer of flour, put on the splash guard. Now we're gonna roll that dough ball into a big solid mass. Cut it in 2 equal parts, one for the top and one for the bottom. Make them into sort of pancake looking things. And at this point, you probably will want to roll it out into a nice thin, flat sheet. I didn't really think about that, and I just went ahead and chilled them as is, which is kind of a problem. It's kind of just a pain in the ass to unroll. Luckily, this dough is soft enough, and it's basically like Play-Doh. So in this case, since I'm using a spring form, I just lined the edges with the dough. As it started to warm up, it turned into a softer texture, and you can just spread it really like putty around the edges. Probably not the most ideal treatment, but you know what? It works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Fill it up with your cooled down ground beef filling. And then let's cover it up with the top sheet. This one did a little bit better, but still has a few cracks here and there. Now, if you were doing this in a pie tin, you'd want that overhang, like a rustic sort of pie. But in this case, since I'm using a spring form, I went for a little bit of a neater presentation. I cut off the excess and crimped the edges together to create a classic sort of pie edge, even though the overall shape is going to be a little bit weird. Poke some holes for ventilation so it doesn't blow up on you, and then we're going to throw this guy into a 220° centigrade or 425° Fahrenheit oven for about an hour. So this is the first pie I've ever baked in my life, and I mean, picture's worth 1,000 words, right? What do you think? That looks like a pie to me. I don't know. I don't know about you. It looks like a pie. I was really unsure about how this was gonna turn out when I was rolling out that dough. As you can see, it was like just mushy and did not want to form a solid piece, but I guess when you bake it, it solidifies. Go figure. I don't know how baking works. I know how cooking works. Throw some garlic in a pan with some oil and you got yourself a sauté. Let's dig right in. Those are like the flavors of fall. It's October right now. Fall just started. It's not quite there yet. We've had a couple 80-degree days, although global warming. So. But cinnamon and the clove, it's straight up transporting me to Thanksgiving. This is a ideal dish for a November meal. I'm sure there would be a slight difference if you use a different type of meat, but I'm really not picking up that pork and veal blend, you know? I think just plain beef would be fine. Lamb might actually kick it up a notch because of the lamminess, if that's a word. The crust is kind of really flaky and doesn't really want to stick together so much. So if you don't know how to make a pie crust, then I would just go to the store and get the rolled up pie crust from the freezer aisle. I would totally do that. It's not really cheating, because why the hell do you want to make your own dough if it's not going to work out quite as well? But other than that, I mean, if you want to show up the rest of your Friendsgiving potluck, you know, make that, and everyone will be jealous. Well, not really jealous, because they'll have a slice each. Anyway.